and the Portfolio Committee, Deputy Minister Buotes and Deputy Minister Candice Mashiko Dlamini. You are all welcome. We also welcome South Africans who may be following the proceedings of this Portfolio Committee. Using all the platforms that starting the meeting 4 minutes late. Where I am here, I was trying to find some network, but they were able to help me with a connection to the network. Our agenda today is opening apologies, then we adopt the agenda, then we get a briefing from the Department on preparations for the BRICS Summit that is going to take place in August this year, and then we close the meeting. Do we have a move for adoption of the agenda?
Yes, Honorable Chairperson, my name is Desmond Mwela. I move that we adopt the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second, honorable members? Any seconder for the adoption of the agenda? Honorable members, am I audible? Am I audible, Lubavalo?
Yes, Chairperson, you are audible, Chair.
That goes. That Chetty. Can you hear me? Honorable Msani, Honorable Faba, can you all hear me?
I can hear you, Chair.
Yes, we are asking for somebody to second the proposal for the agenda to be adopted. I don't know whether we have lost the honorable members or maybe some of them can hear me.
You have a right also, Chair, to second.
Yes, because it's not my agenda. It is the agenda of a meeting. Honorable Nkosi, is your connection okay? It doesn't look like his connection is fine. Okay, honorable members, I now also agree with Honorable Desmond Moyela that this agenda is fine. Honorable Faba, can I ask you a specific question? Why are you not seconding for the adoption of the agenda or its amendment? Because at least you can hear me.
Chairperson, I believe all your members of your party can also hear you, as they are also on this meeting.
That's another matter. I was just asking as a member of the committee, are you okay with this agenda? Is it this or we must amend it?
Chairperson, as I say, it's not if I'm okay, that's my choice, but I am not seconding it. You can ask other members maybe, but I'm not going to second on this.
Sorry, Chairperson, Dineo here. Honorable Chetty seems to be having problems with hearing. He says there is no sound coming through He's even asking whether the meeting is on, but I see Honorable Msani is on now.
Yeah, what Honorable Chetty can do is to switch off his gadgets completely and switch it on again. So you will help him on
Honorable
that
Chair.
side. Okay, Honorable Member. Honorable Msani?
I second the agenda, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Msani. The agenda is now adopted. Do we have apologies, Luba?
Thank you, Chair. I have two apologies, Chair. The Minister is attending Cabinet and Honorable Mishwe is not available for today's meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, post-apartheid South Africa has been emphatic about the African agenda, and this has been a prominent characteristic of South Africa's foreign policy towards the region. Therefore, South Africa can leverage its relations with its BRICS allies so that their own interests of those of Africa are addressed. As a committee, our oversight role is critical in BRICS. We need to ensure and determine whether South Africa's role in BRICS is bringing about the necessary impact on the lives of South Africans. Whether BRICS under South Africa's cooperation or South-South cooperation is helping us to jointly seek solutions on national problems and support national objectives of the member states of BRICS. South Africa's BRICS strategy has to be aligned to the national interest to ensure that it assists the country to address the injustices of the past as enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, as adopted in 1996. Is the BRICS strategy making the fruits of economic growth accessible for all? That's what we need to continue to interrogate. There are important issues. These are important issues for this summit. The question is, what is their cost position on them? And I will just indicate, for instance, the expansion of BRICS membership. What form will it take, and what about the core membership's role going forward? What area of national interest will this serve? What will South Africa do if Morocco, for instance, joined or make an application to be part of BRICS, and any other country whose conduct may be raising questions? What will this do to South Africa's national interests? Therefore, the expansion of BRICS, in my view, should be carefully considered without necessarily being discriminative. Trade and currency of BRICS is something that we have to look at. We hope the department will also clarify us on that particular matter. In as far as the multilateral reforms are concerned, we look forward to be getting a briefing on what is BRICS posture on that particular matter. Women in peace and security, this is a strong point for South Africa. What is to be the approach to bring this up in the summit? And here I think I need to pause, honorable members. In the social media, there has been a circulation of allegations on the conduct of the president of PAP. And this circulation, if indeed is going to turn out to be true, it will be a huge embarrassment for our Pan-Africanist Parliament. The circulation in the media talks about the Pan-African president, Chief Charumumbira, who is exposed, the allegation says in the recording, begging for a kiss from a married niece, and that this matter has been reported to the police. I tried to call the minister this morning just to get a preliminary stance of the department on this matter, because It will have to be something that as the portfolio committee, we have to say something about it at a public level, because we frown upon individuals who are alleged or proven to be involved in matters that relate to GBV. Going forward, we will need to get from the department the 5 key priority areas that South Africa will be taking to the summit in order for us to influence the outcomes of the document that will come from the summit, and how this will then dovetail with our own national interest framework document. I thought that is how I need to be welcoming you, honorable members, to this meeting of today. I am going to ask that in the discussion after the presentation by the department, members of the portfolio committee should indicate their attitude to the allegations circulating in the media about the possible involvement of the president of PAP in matters that are relating to GBV. You are welcome to the meeting, as I said earlier on, honorable members. I'll now give over to the department to make the presentation. Honorable Mashoko Dlamini and Honorable Botes, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My greetings to yourself and members of the Portfolio Committee and members of the media who have been connected to this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, and also extend my greetings to my colleague, Honorable Waters, and our DG who is present in the system. I'll do the opening remarks, then the DG will take over for the presentation, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chairperson, South Africa is privileged to chair BRICS in 2023 for the 3rd time since we were invited to join in 2010 under the theme BRICS and Africa, Partnership for Mutually Accelerated Growth, Sustainable Development, and Inclusive Multilateralism. Our theme reflects our vision of BRICS providing global leadership in addressing the needs and concerns of the majority of the world, namely beneficial economic growth, sustainable development, and inclusive of the global South in multilateral system. Furthermore, our theme reflects our belief in the benefits and partnership with Africa can bring to BRICS, with our partners eager to explore opportunities to support and to benefit from operationalization of the African Continental Free Trade Area. South Africa has full calendar of events across all 3 pillars of BRICS: cooperation, political security, economic and finance, and social and people-to-people cooperation. This leads to the 15th BRICS Summit to be held in Johannesburg, Gauteng, from the 22nd to the 24th of August, 2023. South Africa chairs BRICS in a global environment characterized by escalating competition and zero-sum games between so-called powers. We are therefore mindful of recent developments, as are all the parties affected. The 15th BRICS Summit is not only about our leaders meeting. The BRICS Summit will address the urgent need for global governance reform, strengthening mutually beneficial BRICS cooperation, and aims to generate BRICS support for initiatives like the operationalization of the AFCFTA, The summit program included a BRICS Business Forum, a leaders retreat, and a BRICS outreach and BRICS Plus. There is also significant interest, Chair, in joining BRICS, given the current geopolitical contestation. This shows that our BRICS value continues aligned with our partners in Africa and the Global South. We are taking forward internal BRICS discussion on BRICS membership expansion and hope for some progress during the summit. Of course, I hear you, Chair, that we must really look very carefully about the expansion of membership of BRICS and some countries that might be interested in BRICS, which are not really in keeping with our constitution in South Africa and also not complying with the UN resolutions that have been taken for many years. Chairperson, with your permission, allow me to hand over to our DG to introduce our presenter, and we give details of the 15th BRICS Summit that will be taking place in South Africa. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Proceed, DG.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, and good morning, Honorable Members, Deputy Ministers. Honorable Chair, our Secretariat for BRICS is led by a Sherpa, and this morning the Sous Sherpa, Mr. Ben Joubert, will take us through the presentation. After that, we can then engage in the question and answer session. Over to you, Ben, with your permission, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Chair, do I have the permission to proceed with the presentation?
Yes, you've got absolute permission to proceed with the presentation. Ben, proceed.
Chair, thank you so much, Chair Mapelo, members of the Portfolio Committee, our Deputy Ministers, my DG. Our presentation this morning, we have it on the screen, and we will start just from the beginning, just in terms of the first looking at the overview of where we are in terms of BRICS. This is focusing on the substantive preparations. Just to recap, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa as BRICS. We have 42% of the world's population, 30% of the world's territory, about 27% of global GDP, and around 20% of global trade. As you know, Honorable Chair, we have now surpassed the G7 in terms of economic size. Russia held the first BRICS meeting, the BRICS Summit in 2009. South Africa was invited to join in 2010, and then we attended the first BRICS Summit in Sanya, China in 2011. Of course, the BRICS rotates annually in line with the acronym. Hence, there are sometimes some exceptions to this. For example, South Africa is normally followed by Brazil. However, in 2024, Brazil will be chairing the G20. So they have arranged with Russia to take over from South Africa in 2024. South Africa chaired BRICS in 2013, then again, as honorable members would know, in 2018, and now in 2023, as referred by Deputy Minister Mashego Dlamini. In terms of the theme of South Africa's chairship, and if I may just point out again, Chair, this theme and the priorities and deliverables is, of course, the product of consensus and the agreement of our cabinet, and it went therefore through the process of a cabinet memo. So what we see here on the screen is, first of all, the agreed theme that resulted from the consultative process. BRICS and Africa, Partnership for Mutually Accelerated Growth, Sustainable Development, and Inclusive Multilateralism. BRICS is, needless to say then, BRICS is the leading partnership of the Global South and provides leadership towards global growth, sustainable development, and the inclusion of the South. In terms of the 5 priorities, Chair and honourable members, developing a partnership towards an equitable, just transition. There, of course, the focus is on climate change and the significant changes to our economy, particularly in the energy sector. However, the solution for one problem should not worsen the lives of those dependent on the energy sector, and of course the impact it could have on our attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. Transforming education and skills development for the future. This is unlocking opportunities for education and continuous skills development, as they are the long-term solutions towards sustainable development and escaping poverty. The third priority speaks to the African Continental Free Trade Area and unlocking those opportunities. That means we need to strengthen the partnership between BRICS and Africa for mutually beneficial opportunities towards increased trade, investment, infrastructure development under the provisions of the African Continental Free Trade Area. In the fourth place, strengthening post-pandemic socio-economic recovery and the attainment of the 2030 agenda and the sustainable development. We must act on our agenda and on our objectives so that our economy drive global economic recovery. We must use BRICS mechanisms to address global challenges and accelerate implementation of the 2030 agenda. Apologies for that omission. On the next slide, the last and fifth priority for our chairship speaks to strengthening multilateralism, including working towards a real reform of the global governance institutions and strengthening the meaningful participation of women in peace processes. So we need achievable global governance reforms that BRICS can deliver on through its influence. We must address the marginalization of women in peace processes. In terms of the BRICS calendar of events for 2023, there are about 200 events of various formats, whether virtual, hybrid, or in person, on our BRICS calendar, including 18 ministerial meetings that will lead up to summit, the 15th BRICS Summit. As you would know, the honourable members would know, it is from 22 to 24 August in Johannesburg. And of course, after summit, there are more events as we hold the chairship until 31 December 2023. Events cover all the 3 pillars of political security, and the second pillar, economic and financial, and in the third pillar, social and people-to-people cooperation. Also, in terms of the approved cabinet memo, cabinet approved 5 deliverables. That is the first BRICS workshop on incident management. Of course, that is a cybersecurity workshop that will be held in September. The establishment of the BRICS Center for Industrial Competencies, the BRICS African Just Energy Transition Center of Excellence, the launch of the Energy Skills Roadmap, the establishment of a BRICS Africa Women's Business Alliance platform, and then also additional deliverables that you referred to, Chair, and also our Honourable Deputy Minister. Of course, it's the BRICS Women's Ministers meeting, the BRICS Disability Forum, the seminar on public sector reform. Apologies, I wanted to say that the legacy deliverables speak to BRICS membership expansion, and of course the customs, the cooperation in customs matters agreement that is finalized but not yet signed. In terms of the expansion, just to briefly reflect on that, of course, South Africa was the first beneficiary of expansion. The modalities for expansion were undefined at the time. The discussion was brought back to the table under China's chairship in 2022 last year. And then we saw in the BRICS Beijing Declaration of the leaders of June 2022, where the Sherpas were instructed to hold internal discussions to clarify the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures for a BRICS membership expansion process. That, of course, will be based on full consensus and consultations between the BRICS member states. Of course, in terms of the internal discussions then on BRICS, South Africa is taking forward these internal discussions in 2023. A report on progress will be considered by the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting to be held on 1 to 2 June 2023. As the first beneficiary of BRICS expansion, South Africa sees the value that new members can bring. South Africa appreciates all the expression of interest in joining BRICS that we have received from so many countries, both in terms of communications to our president and to our foreign minister. As a consensus-based grouping, we tackle important issues with mutual respect and understanding and in full consultation. We are facilitating this process by identifying and building on points of convergence to respond to the mandate of the leaders. And that is in terms of the paragraph 73, as I mentioned, of the summit declaration of 2022, June 2022. Honorable Chair and members of the Portfolio Committee, just in terms of the environmental scan, of course, South Africa chairs BRICS in a very complex environment. The Ukraine conflict and the America's trade war with China are just some examples. Significant interest in joining BRICS as an alternative to the West is evident from the amount of applications we have received to join BRICS. BRICS is designed to be a complementary as the aim was to reform systems to be included as equals, not isolated alternatives. So BRICS is supplementary in terms of the current systems of multilateralism and the systems of the world. The new development bank targets is targeted through dollar holdings that it has. The new president of the bank is, of course, the former president of Brazil, Dilma Rousseff, and the bank is therefore also aiming to address some of these challenges that we see in terms of the dollar holdings. And then China brokered, of course, the rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia and offered to mediate between Israel and Palestine. China and Brazil have peace plans for the Ukraine conflict. And of course, this is just mentioned to just focus once more on the BRICS efforts as a group to bring about a peaceful settlement to some of these conflicts. And then, of course, those settlements have wider positive regional implications. In terms of the 15th BRICS Summit, Honorable Chair and members of the Portfolio Committee, as I mentioned, President Ramaphosa will be hosting the 15th BRICS Summit, 22 to 24 August. And as per Cabinet approval, that will be held in Gauteng. The summit program has a significant business component on the first day, and the summit will hear reports from President of the New Development Bank, the BRICS Business Council, and the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. South Africa will continue its theme of partnership by holding an outreach and BRICS Plus engagement. Of course, the outreach is part of the legacy we have in the BRICS family, the outreach that South Africa started when we first hosted in 2013 in eThekwini. On that note, Chair, please allow me to thank you for this opportunity. I hand over to you. Thank you, DG.
Thank you.
Hello. Am I audible, Lubabalo?
Yes, Chairperson, you are audible.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks very much for the presentation. DG, is there anything you would like to amplify maybe?
Honorable Chair, no, I think what I will wait for questions and comments from honorable members and then expand on issues where necessary. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. There's the presentation. We can now interact with the presentation. You are welcome, Honorable Member Powell, and over to you.
Thanks, Chairperson, and thank you to the officials who have presented. I was just a first question to the Deputy Minister. The Deputy Minister made a very interesting remark that I'd like some clarity on. She said that in the context of member states who are seeking to join BRICS, that South Africa will need to look carefully at the inclusion of these other countries on the basis of whether or not they espouse and share South Africa's constitutional values, as well as their placement on recent resolutions at the United Nations in the same context. Now, I'd like to ask the Deputy Minister if she's of the opinion that nation states like Russia currently share and espouse South Africa's constitutional visions and values, such as our legal mandate to respect and uphold international law, our respect of the right to territorial self-determination and sovereignty. How does the Deputy Minister see Russia through the lens of our constitutional values? Are our nations aligned on a values basis? Then I think the question on everybody's mind is whether or not the interministerial cabinet committee that's been looking at the report around whether or not the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, will attend the summit virtually or physically. Can the minister, the deputy minister, or the director general give this committee a firm yes or no answer? Will Putin visit South Africa physically? One. And two, if President Vladimir Putin visits South Africa, will South Africa uphold our obligations in terms of international law and arrest him? A yes or no answer to those questions, please. And if not, can we please have some kind of an update as to how we plan to deal with this very fragile situation? And then can we please, from the presenter, understand more about any trade relationships or trade agreements that are in the pipelines in terms of BRICS? We know that we've got this development bank, but we also know that we've got no formal trading agreements with the BRICS nations. So can we please have some further details as to any trade negotiations that are in the pipelines? And how South Africa seeks to drive the issue of mutually beneficial trade, specifically with regards to value-added manufactured goods, because currently we see a huge amount of raw materials and mineral resources being extracted from South Africa and bought up by nations like China. And obviously we need to ensure that South Africa is exporting that value-added goods, not just mineral resources and raw materials, to our counterparts in BRICS. Thank you, Chairperson.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Powell. Honorable Faber.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just hold on. Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, yes, Honourable Powell touched on a lot, but I think the the big elephant in the room is Vladimir Putin. And Chairperson, it's of great concern, if you look at it, that the African National Congress actually said themselves that the leading political party in Russia has warned that if the country arrests, this is South Africa, if we arrest the Russian President Vladimir Putin when he arrives in South Africa for the BRICS Summit later this year, it will be a declaration of war. Now, this comes from the ruling party, the ANC, Chairperson. Now, we have to decide, are we putting our country first, or are we putting the ANC first? And this is, I know, not that I want to put you in a spot in politics, Chairperson, but the reality is our country comes first, not the ANC. So if the ANC are sending delegations over to Russia, and there's political delegations from Parliament going, where it's not a multi-political party delegation that went there, and it gets told to the South African government, which is ANC government at this stage, that it will declare war if Putin gets arrested. This against the International Criminal Court outcome on this. I want to know where we stand on this, Chair. It cannot be that the ANC put themselves with a relationship with Putin first instead of South Africa. I want to know what we are saying on that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Faber. There's an iPad, but I can't see who the iPad is.
It's
Member
myself,
iPad?
Chair. My apology for not
okay.
renaming.
Sorry, Honorable Msani. Proceed, my sister.
Chair, it seems like we are completely ignoring what the summit seems to engage on and seems to want to achieve for the member states of BRICS. And yes, we want to focus on the arresting of the president of Russia, which I believe, Chairperson, as a country, we should first look at the credibility of the body that wants us as a country to implement their position on arresting the president of Russia. So, Chairperson, we know that the ICC, as a country, we had a motion to remove ourselves from this body for many years, and it was currently, very recently, withdrawn from Parliament for us to remove ourselves from the ICC. It goes back to why did we want to remove ourselves from the ICC? And it is very unfortunate, Chair, that it is because of the indecisiveness of the ruling party for us to find ourselves in this position where now we are forced by imperialists in order to adopt a motion and a resolution that they determine as a state that we must arrest President Putin. But at the end of the day, Chair, we want to make it clear that as South Africa, we are not obliged and we won't be pushed by imperialist states like the United States of America into arresting a country's president who has been so supportive of us when we were facing what the apartheid state of Israel is currently imposing on people of Palestine. And I wish to agree with the Deputy Minister that any other member state, any country that wants to join the BRICS bloc must be analyzed correctly. And as a country and as a chairperson, we need to make sure, Chair, that we raise our voices very sharply to this bloc, that we cannot be found to be associating with countries such as Morocco, because we made an example of Morocco, and it might not only be Morocco, it might also be Israel, who recently we have seen them trying to be gaining an observer status in the African Union. We do not associate with countries that are apartheid states, with countries that obviously are contradictory to the Constitution of South Africa. And Chairperson, South Africa, the Interministerial Committee needs to come back and report to this committee, Chair. on their decision on whether what they've decided, because as this committee, I think we are very clear that no president will be arrested. President Vladimir Putin is more than welcome to come to this country, Chair, and make his contributions, because let me tell you, the geopolitics, Chair, are changing, and they are changing very fast. China and Russia is playing a bigger role in the economy of the of this world. Secondly, Chair, we don't see on the presentation anything about the de-dollarization. We need to go deeper into the de-dollarization and put emphasis to this bloc, which is BRICS, on how do we move with speed as a bloc, because we are the second highest in the world when it comes to trade. We need to make a stance that we are for the de-dollarization, and we support the de-dollarization, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Msani. I just want to remind honorable members about the matter which I raised in the opening remarks about the allegations against the president of PARC. The allegations are about sexual harassment. It's indicated in the media that the matter has been reported to the police. And I will like members, as we comment, also to include that matter, because it's quite a serious matter which we cannot leave unattended as the portfolio committee. At least we should say something, because as Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, we've got a stance, a very serious, concise, unambiguous stance in as far as matters of GBV are concerned. Our next speaker will be Honorable Chetty.
I'll leave my camera off because I'm having problems with connectivity. And good morning to colleagues. Yeah, Chair, I'm partly covered by my previous two members. The three major role players in BRICS, Brazil, India, and China, voted in favor of the UN resolution describing Russia as an aggressor in Ukraine and calls for these responsible for violations to be brought to book under international law. But as usual, we as South Africa chose to abstain. Chair, it is time for South Africa to stop sitting on the fence, and we need a clear answer. If Russia's Putin arrives in SA for BRICS, will the South African government act on the ICC resolution and arrest him or not? Second question, Chairperson, is we've heard about the rumblings by the US ambassador and regarding the arms to Russia. We're also aware that there was a meeting held with the minister. Chairperson, are you or the deputy ministers in a position to respond to us as to what is the outcome of that? And lastly, Chairperson, there is the talks that our president might be engaging in trying to engage with peace talks between Zelensky and Putin. Is the department aware of this? And can they give us an update on that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chetty. Honorable Muela.
Thank you very much, Honorable SOR, the chair of the committee. Let me, Chair, first welcome the presentation from the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. Well, Chair, my point of entry will be to say we need to differentiate between a political environment, especially in a meeting of this nature, because we are in a portfolio committee here. We are not in an ANC meeting where members will just come in and speak about the ANC as if we're in an ANC meeting. Well, we must understand, Honorable Faber, that the ANC is a led government and we are in charge and will still be in charge forever and ever. So that must be noted, Honorable Faber. I understand your frustration. That is why you keep on referring to this portfolio committee as ANC and all that. Chair, we as I've welcomed the presentation, I think it's important that we need to indicate that, of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa will be hosting the 15th BRICS Summit as planned from the 22nd to the 24th of August 2023. And we are happy that we are going to receive reports regarding the New Development Bank, the BRICS Business Council, and including the BRICS Women Business Alliance, and many other issues that concerns the BRICS. So on that note, Chairperson, we want to emphasize that nobody is going to arrest President Putin. President Putin will be coming to South Africa, and we are going to, we'll be happy to receive President Putin. So these other ones who are claiming to be arresting, to be arresting President Putin, they must just forget. They must just forget. We are going to receive President Putin, and President Putin is going to participate in this summit. On the latter matter that we have raised, on the other matter that we have raised, Chairperson, regarding sexual harassment and all that, I think as a country, as government of the Republic of South Africa that is responsible, law must take its course, and we must get a proper briefing from those that are relevant in briefing this committee. But what needs to happen, Chairperson, my view is that these are serious allegations, and such allegations must be taken into consideration, and the person involved must be attended to by the relevant authorities that are responsible in dealing with such issues. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks, Honorable Muela. Honorable Mbanza.
Thank you, Chairperson. My apology, Chair, for joining the meeting late. And also, I'm having a problem with my gadget, so I've been using somebody's gadget. Chairperson, I just want to welcome the presentation by the Deputy Minister, Honorable Mashiko Dlamini, and the DG and the team. Chair, I want to also support the two speakers who spoke before me, Honorable Msani and Honorable Muela. In that, Chairperson, let us not reduce this very important event, historic event that will going to take place on our soil in South Africa, the BRICS Summit, into the issue of this international criminal court warrant arrest. Chair, this matter is being dealt with in a very strategic way by the team that has been set by the president of a group of ministers. And I think let us be patient. The summit is still a period away. On August, we will, as a committee, from time to time, at your discretion, Chair, get briefings and updates on how that team is dealing with the matter. So I don't think it's our terrain as a committee to keep on talking about this matter and preempting what could be the outcome. I think, Chairperson, the issues that we have raised in your opening remarks of the strategy of the BRICS in dealing with the issues of economic benefits for Africa, for SADC, and in particular South Africa, are very much important. And I think the presenter has responded to those issues. The issue of the expansion of the BRICS has been responded to, and how we should even deal with the matter of those who will be wanting to join BRICS, but they are not complying with the necessary protocols and statutes of international, of the United Nations. So I think we should welcome that presentation and look forward, Chair, to have a very successful BRICS Summit, of which Russia will be part of, because we hope that they will be able to deal with the matter of the warrant of arrest. I don't think it's a matter then that must then be clouding this very important issue. But also, Chair, it's very much important to emphasize the fact that when we deal with such matters, we must be consistent even amongst ourselves. This double standard of applying certain rules, international rules, when it suits certain people, and then emphasize issues of sovereignty, it's a matter that, Chair, we must deal with. The oomph and the courage that some of our colleagues here are pushing this issue of Russia, Ukraine, and the implementation of international rule is very puzzling, Chair. We've got a similar situation. It's worse. It's not even a similar situation in the Palestine. And this matter of Palestine has been an issue for a long time, and there's been international resolution, United Nations resolution that have never been implemented. But our colleagues are not saying anything about that. They are quiet about that. Then when it's the matter between Russia and Ukraine, something that's just happened over a couple of years, then we have to be bombarded by these issues in this portfolio committee. So really, if we are serious about addressing issues of human rights violations, we must be consistent, all of us, and we must not apply double standards. So I fully agree, Chair, with Honorable Msani and Honorable Mwela, that let us not turn this platform of the South African public, which they've elected us here to deal with issues of oversight and international relations, importance, issues of importance, and turn it into a political platform where we want to try score cheap political gains at the expense of our people who are really eager to see a better Africa, a better world. So I want to emphasize that. Chair, then the last issue that we have raised of the president of the Pan-African Parliament. I think, Chair, this issue must be treated with the seriousness it deserves. Gender-based violence cannot be tolerated, no matter who commits it, because, Chair, it's here, even in South Africa, we have categorized that kind of behavior as a pandemic. Even during the time when we had COVID, we said it's the second COVID, pandemic over COVID, next to COVID. So, but because now it's still at an early stage under investigation and remains an allegation, so let us not also be harsh and then deal with it and then turn the matter into a public a court. Let's allow the judiciary and the law enforcement agencies to do their work, and then we will then see how the law is taking its course, as Honorable Mwela has suggested. But let us get regular updates on how the matter is progressing. Thanks very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mpanza. Yeah, it looks like every member who wanted to speak has now spoken on the matter. I'm going to give the department to respond. I will ask that the department in its response should also just update the committee on 3 things. One is the Africa Peace Mission, which is being initiated by 6 countries, Egypt, Zambia, Senegal, Uganda, Republic of Congo, and the Republic of South Africa. Just to keep us updated on that. The second matter will be this matter of public interest, which I think if the department doesn't clarify, it may send an unintended message of us as South Africa wanting to hide something. Whether indeed, notwithstanding what the president has pronounced about the team to do the investigation, whether we indeed there's any validity to the allegation that South Africa has sold weapons of war to Russia. The third will be what is also doing circulation in the media about one of the heads of defense in the Republic of South Africa, currently or some days ago, having gone to Russia to discuss matters of mutual interest regarding defense. It will also be helpful if the department can indicate whether, because I also think it should happen, the proposal made by Honorable Msani that the interministerial committee, which is looking at the matter of the ICC and the warrant of arrest for President Putin, whether on a regular basis there's preparedness on the part of the executive to continue to update the portfolio committee. It is my perception that the work that is being done by the interministerial committee, if what I read is anything to go by, may actually end up with us, honorable members, because one of the matters that is being looked at there is the necessary domestication of the Roman statutes in the context of our own situation here in South Africa, and do exactly what the British did, because what the British did, they domesticated the ICC Roman statutes and did it in the context of their own situation, which then included possible exemptions of other categories of organizations, individuals, and so on. Which I think if South Africa is to do what the British have done, it will be the right thing to do. So in the responses, Deputy Ministers, if you can just include some of those things. Of course, we take note of the BRICS heads of ministries, which is going to be taking place in June. I think the most substantive issues will be threshed out there. And in terms of detail for August, it will become clear after that meeting. I think it's the 1st and the 2nd of June, according to the briefing we just got. So we will eagerly await the outcome of the meeting of the ministers then. I see on the screen here, there is Honorable Chetty. I don't know whether his picture because of technology, finds it way on the screen, or he wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want a point of clarity, and that's why I wrote it down there, because I see it and recognize when I raise my hand again. Is it okay for me to get some, just a point of clarity, Chair? With your indulgence?
Clarity, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I raised it when the Honorable Molewa was speaking, and I just wanted clarity. As his comments that the Russian president is welcome to South Africa, you can come to South Africa and nobody will arrest him in South Africa, is that based as the spokesperson for the ANC, or is he speaking on behalf of the South African government? Because the ANC can flout the International Criminal Court rules, but South Africa cannot, and we should not, Chair. So I just want to get clarity when he said that. In what capacity was he speaking? Because he made a statement that nobody will arrest the president of Russia if he comes to South Africa. And the rest of us in our comments were questioning and requesting whether the department could give us an answer. But the Honorable Moella spoke on a point of authority. So I just wanted clarity whether he was privy to certain things the rest of us were not. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, I hope my listening to was not selective on any member, but I don't remember him mentioning ANC. He was talking as a member of this committee, and that's his own view. I don't remember him saying he's speaking on behalf of the ANC, and the ANC's position is that nobody, including President Putin, when he comes here, will be arrested. But I see his hand is up. He can clarify. You, Honorable Moella.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. You have clarified it very correct. I was referring to those that are saying, especially those that are saying they will arrest Putin, because there are people who are saying they will arrest Putin, and I'm saying they must dare not go closer to President Putin, because they will die before even their death, their natural death, because that one, it doesn't play. It doesn't play. So nobody has the capacity, especially those that are talking to say they'll arrest President Putin. They don't have capacity to arrest President Putin. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yeah, that's Honorable Moella's own views expressed as a member here. Honorable Faba, I see your hand is up. You seem to have forgotten something.
No, I definitely did not forget to turn my hand off, Chairperson. I raised it in concern. Chairperson, there was another member of another party also on this discussion on questions, which also said, we know where this committee stands on the decision on who to do business with, and that the East with Russia and China will be the best economies, etc. And that is the view of the committee. Chairperson, I must make it categorically clear that we are a multi-party committee, and no member of the ANC or the EFF or any other party can say that this is what the party says, because we are 3 members of the DA also on this committee, Chairperson. And as far as I understand, the committee has no stance on that as a committee. So when people speak like that, Chair, that they use their own authority by their own parties and not as saying that the committee feels like that. Because I definitely don't feel like that, Chairperson. And there was no decisions taken that's noted that I've seen so far. Thanks, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, can I also call a point of order?
Yeah, just before I come to the point of order, when we started the meeting in the morning, Honorable Faba, I asked for members to second the proposal by Honorable Moella that we adopt the agenda of today. In your response, when I asked you, because you were audible and I was audible to you, in your response when I asked why are you not seconding a simple adoption of the agenda, you said that Chairperson, members of your party, the ANC, must second the adoption of the agenda. Now, it's later now in the debates, and you are now saying you are just a member of the committee. You are not speaking as a member of the party, and we should not speak of the member of the party. And you are right, we shouldn't speak as members of political parties. That's why I was perplexed earlier on when you held a view that it's members of the ANC who must second and make a proposal for the adoption of the agenda. So let's just try and be consistent in our articulation as members of this portfolio committee. Yes, we, as the portfolio committee, we haven't yet developed a position, and we are going to develop that position today on other issues based on the briefing that we have received today. So when the department is done and we've got all the clarity and so on, there will be a position on several matters, including this BRICS Summit in August as the portfolio committee, and we will make it known to South Africans where we stand on matters presented to us by the department today. What is the point of order, Honorable Mpanza?
Chairperson, just a point of clarity.
Yeah, before we come to clarity, let's take the order first. Honorable Mpanza.
Chair, let me also apologize because of my gadget that I just shout because I can't raise my hand.
No problem, no problem.
Yes, Chair. It's not to be disrespectful to the meeting and to the chair. Yeah, Chair, the first point of order is in line with what you have said. The double standards that we are applying here, because exactly what happened when the meeting starts, and we have clarified that one, because the honorable member who's now raising this issue has brought the issue of the party himself. And I think even her colleague also, Honorable Powell also, they are the ones who brought the issues of political parties. Hence, we were even raising.
A point of order, Chairperson. It's Honorable Powell. I did not raise the issue of political
No,
parties.
Honorable Powell, no. I know you are new in the committee. You must just say point of order, and then I'll know to, and then I'll give a chance. So don't interject, another speaker.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Yes, I'll come to you.
Chair, my hand is raised. My hand is raised.
Yes, I've seen your hand, Honorable Son.
Chair, there can't be a point of order on top of a point of order.
No, proceed with your point of order.
Yes, Chair. So can I be protected?
Yes, you are highly protected.
Thanks, Chairperson. Yes, Chair. So the DA is the one who started this thing of bringing political parties in our discussion. So they must be consistent. That's the point of order that I'm raising. But also, Chair, it should not be a sin here to talk as a political party or ANC, because, Chair, when we come here, we're not representing our jackets. We have different mandates. That's why in our ANC, we have a study group. I don't know what other political parties have, where we meet and then discuss how are we going to express ourselves in meetings. So I should not, I think as much as Chair, you are warning us not to turn the platform of portfolio committee into a political debate. But at the end of the day, we come here through the tickets and the mandates of our political parties. So it is not something wrong, Chair, to express the mandate of my party, which is the view. And then other parties can do that. And then at the end of the day, we debate. And then at the end of the day, we do what you said, Chair, that then we come to a position of a portfolio committee. But those who start throwing stones must not cry the loudest when the stones are thrown back at them. Thanks, Chairperson.
Okay, let's hear. I'll come back to a ruling on the point of order. Let's hear Honorable Powell. What's the point of order?
Chairperson,
Yeah, I'm coming to you,
I-
Honorable Nsani. Yours is not a point of order, so let's hear this point of order.
Chairperson, I think we need to apply a level of maturity here. We've asked questions. My point of order is that the Honorable Mapanza has just said that I started casting aspersions in regards to the ANC and the use of political parties. I didn't mention anything about the ANC, nor did I mention anything about the DA. He is misleading the committee, and I ask that you ask him to withdraw my name from his comment regarding this and to apologize. We've asked questions, and the Honorable Faber is asking a question of clarity as to whether or not the Honorable member who spoke is speaking, Honorable Moela is speaking on behalf of a party or the committee. But my point of order is, can Honorable Mapanza please apologize to me for casting aspersions about things I haven't said? Thanks.
Thank you. Mpanza.
No, Chair, I will.
Honorable
Not
Mapanza.
Mapanza. No, wait, Honorable Mpanza. I'm just saying to Honorable Powell that you are not Mapanza, you are Mpanza.
Mpanza.
Yeah, Honorable Nsani.
Chair, we cannot sit here and be bullied by the DA. That can never happen, Chair.
Not at all.
We are all
Not at all.
allowed to express our views as much as the self-elected Premier of Western Cape has stood up in front of media and said he personally himself, he will arrest the president of Russia. So as members elected to this house and elected for the EFF and to represent the economic freedom fighters movement and party, Chair, we cannot be dictated by DA, which represents a minority of the population of this country, to come and dictate to us what to say and what not to say. Secondly, Chair, when they were expressing their views on Israel, on the apartheid state, on what they are doing to Palestine, nobody came here and told them how to speak and how to paraphrase or phrase their sentences. So, Chair, please protect this committee from degenerating, because the DA, the clear mandate that they have is to ignore everybody's view, and we must listen to them because they think they have white power.
Thank you. Honorable Faber, I see you want to talk for the third time now.
No, Chairperson, I asked you, actually, I want to clarify something, and you never gave me the opportunity. So may I use this moment to clarify something?
No, but you can't accuse me of not having.
No, I'm not. No, but Chair, my hand was
I've
up.
been giving you an opportunity for you to speak.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, yes. The first thing.
No, don't accuse me of not giving you any opportunity. I gave you an opportunity to speak. And you know how I run my meetings is that after the presentation, we all talk individually. After that, the department response, then we're done. So today I'm being flexible because I don't want to be accused of what you are saying now.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, then in that way, then I would like to say just, it's not that you didn't give me a chance. Other members just spoke again after I told you that I would like to clarify something. So, Chairperson, the clarity that I want to make, you were saying that when you spoke to me, and I would like you to go and listen to the recording, I said very clearly, your members are also on. I did not say that they have to second. And I just said that I will not second the agenda at that stage. I never said that ANC must second it. So please go and listen to that recording. And the second was just that.
I mean, no, Honorable Faber, don't try that, man. You can say that to grade 4 people, grade 3. No, not
just saying it is on the recording, it can be listened to. And then I was just, my only thing was just that, as I was saying, I was just asking if the member is talking from the committee's point of view, or if not, then they must show their party. We are standing here as one committee, that is true, but we obviously do have political different views on things, and I respect each party for that. But then we must not say the committee stance is like that. This was the only clarity I wanted. Thank you so much, Chair.
Okay.
Chairperson.
One of the things that we must disabuse of ourselves is selective listening and selective processing in our brains of issues, Honorable Faber, because you said in your own mouth that is Honorable Moela speaking as the spokesperson of the African National Congress. And I said to you that I never heard Honorable Moela mentioning the word ANC in his articulation. He never mentioned African National Congress. But in your brain, he is speaking on behalf of the ANC. And I don't blame you for thinking like that. I can't blame you. I mean, there are many reasons why you will think like that, that when he speaks, it means he speaks on behalf of the ANC. I know where I'm standing, that he doesn't speak on behalf of the African National Congress, because the ANC has got its own spokesperson appointed by the National Executive Committee. From time to time, she speaks on behalf of the ANC. So Honorable Moela, none of us here is speaking on behalf of the ANC. Yes, we are imbued with the ideological teachings of the ANC, but we can't come here and brag about the African National Congress. We are members of parliament, sworn in as members of parliament based on the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. And we need to try and keep that decorum here in the committee. So let's proceed, Honorable members. Honorable Msari?
No, Honorable Chair.
It's an old hand, Chair.
Oh, okay, thank you, ma'am. Ndadem Bans.
Yes, Chair, because I don't want also to be not recorded. I will withdraw that Honorable Powell said something about ANC, but I won't withdraw that the DA has said something about the ANC. But I will also want Honorable Powell to withdraw calling me Mampanza. Mampanza is a married woman of Mpanza surname to another surname, maybe Muela or Ngola. So she must also withdraw that Mampanza, because I'm not Mampanza, Panza, not married to any man as a Panza man. Not
I withdraw and apologize. I'll practice it so that I get it right the next time.
Why do you speak? Why do you speak before being recognized? Why?
Okay, Honorable Moela, that's okay. Honorable Powell, I think the meeting accepts, and Honorable Mpanza accepts your apology. We know that it was not intentional for you to say Mampanza when you wanted to say Mpanza. So that is understandable. I hope everybody now has ventilated from the side of the portfolio committee. Now we go back to the real issues. But I just want to emphasize, honorable members, that when we, in the list processes, we come here through the PR system into parliament. At some point, there's a critical point where the judge of the Constitutional Court is called upon based on the Constitution to preside on the swearing in of members. That moment is the most critical one. Because at that point, when we get to be sworn in based on the Constitution and we take an oath to uphold the law and all other laws governing the Republic, we become members of the Republic's parliament. Technically, we can no longer say we are members of this party and that particular party. That's why, as the chair here, I'm not called the ANC portfolio chairperson on international relations. I'm called the chairperson of the International Relations Portfolio Committee of the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. And I must keep that in my mind as the chair. that though I'm a member of the ANC, a leader in the African National Congress, now in the National Executive Committee, I can't bring those issues here and so on. They can inform my thinking, my processing, my posture, and so on. When I speak, maybe you can see that this is ANC speaking here, but I shouldn't be mentioning the African National Congress. So I will urge you, I know it's very tempting for us to say, hey, we are this party and we are that party, so that South Africans, when they re-elect us through our parties, they know that when we vote for this party, we know that this member, when he or she gets into parliament, she will conduct his or her affairs as a member of parliament of the republic and not as a member of a particular party, but of course informed by the ideological leanings of you and teachings of your own party. So I just thought we need to do that so that we don't carry other matters on our shoulders that can unfortunately be interpreted somehow by the public out there. That is why, despite the fact that I'm an elected leader in the ANC, you've never heard me mentioning that here. Never, not even once. And I will not do it going forward in future. Deputy Ministers and your team, you can now respond to the issues that have been raised.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll hand over to the DG, then we will come later. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Honorable Chair, if I may, perhaps I'll take guidance from you and first respond from my side on the key issues that you raised, because I think a lot of issues that
you can start anywhere.
Yeah. So
anyway.
On the first issue on the peace mission by the African heads of state, so I can confirm that our President Ramaphosa, has made contact with President Zelensky and also President Putin, and they have agreed to meeting with both heads of state sometime in June. So the dates must just be confirmed, but it will be early in June, where the 6 heads of state will be shuttling between the two capitals to engage in the facilitating of peace talks, or at least get towards a ceasefire. This initiative has been shared with the UN Secretary General, who's also expressed support. And we've also engaged with other actors, including the US, and there's general support for this initiative that President Ramaphosa announced. So I think we should just watch this space. This is early days, but this initiative will continue and it's gathering pace. The second issue, Honorable Chair, that you raised was on the issue of Lady R. I think what we can confirm at this stage is that the investigation will take place, led by a retired judge, and that is to ensure that none of South Africa's own domestic laws have been impugned by any actions. We don't have any evidence at this stage that it has, and no evidence has been presented thus far, but hopefully more clarity will be gotten once this investigation is concluded. Chair, the third issue that you raised was on the work of the Interministerial Committee. That Interministerial Committee is actually chaired by the Deputy President on the instruction of Cabinet. And as you indicated, it is going to look at a number of issues. The one thing it has done is reaffirm South Africa's membership of the ICC, but it also needs to deal with some very significant matters. One of them is the fact that this is the first third-party state where a warrant of arrest has been issued, where that warrant of arrest does not come through the Security Council. I think it's important to emphasize that. If you're a state party, you automatically waive immunity. If you are not a state party, you are presented to the ICC through the Security Council, immunity is waived. But if you are not a state party and it doesn't come through the Security Council, Article 98 of the Rome Statute requires a waiver from that country. So we are looking at all of these matters, which includes our obligations both to the ICC, but also obligations towards international customary law, which Article 98 looks at. And this is the issue then that you raised about the domestication of the Act. Our Act domesticates most of the elements of the Rome Statute, but we have not domesticated Article 98, as you indicated. The UK has. The UK has fully domesticated all the elements of the Rome Statute, including Article 98. So these are the kind of issues that this committee is dealing with. I think what we should emphasize is that whatever they will be doing, it is guided by the understanding that South Africa will be cognizant of its domestic legal obligations and its international legal obligations. So I do think that...
DG?
Yeah.
Sorry to interject you. I would like you to repeat the part that talks about warrants that come as a consequence of either the ICC or the Security Council. Just repeat that part again. I think it's important for South Africans who are watching, who are listening, and us here in the Portfolio Committee to understand it properly.
So
because it clarifies many things. I like that part.
Thank you. So the figures for action by ICC are one, if you are a state party, Article 27 of the Rome Statute, you through that as a state party, your waiver of personal and functional immunities, whether it's for heads of states or senior officials, is automatically waived. But we know that not all countries are state parties to the ICC. For countries that are not state parties to the ICC, the only other way that they can become subject to the jurisdiction of the ICC is through the UN Security Council. This is through Article 16 of the Rome Statute. An example of this is al-Bashir from Sudan. President al-Bashir then was referred to the Security Council because of a UN investigation. Sudan was not a state party, but because they were referred to the ICC by the UN Security Council, that immunity was waived. And this is what you'll also find in our domestic courts. The case with the president of Russia, this is the first time that a third-party state has been issued a warrant of arrest where the investigation has not been triggered by the Security Council. That means Article 98 of the Rome Statute, which deals with countries' obligations under international customary law, kicks in. And this means that in terms of that, third-party states not coming to the ICC through the Security Council must get a waiver of that person's immunity from that state. So in this particular case, the waiver of immunities for President Putin would need to come from Russia itself. This is subject to various legal interpretations, and this is why this particular committee, chaired by the Deputy President, is looking at all these facets. So we have a legal opinion from Oxley, from DERCO, but another independent legal opinion has been sought so that we make sure that we are completely sure about the action that will be taken. That has not yet been presented and discussed, and I'm sure, Honorable Chair, once the Deputy President's Committee has fully engaged with this, they'll be able to come and report to you on this.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair. I think those are the fourth issue that you mentioned, Chair, something that I can't comment on because we don't have sufficient information at this stage around the nature and timing of the visit by our colleagues from the Department of Defense. And I would argue that perhaps at a later stage, once we have more information, we can share that with you. At this stage, we just don't have enough information to make an informed comment. So, Chair, I think if one looks at the questions that were asked and the comments that were raised by members, these are the key issues that all the members were concerned about. And that's why I think the way you've summarized the issues that we must focus on covers it. I'm just checking if there's any other issue that we have not dealt with. The issue of expansion and the approach to expansion, if I can ask my colleague, Ben, just to talk about what some of the discussions at the Sherpa level has been on that particular issue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DG. In terms of the expansion, of course, we are guided by paragraph 73 of the Summit Declaration of June 2022. That specifically states that Sherpa should look at the, if I can just find it, I can try to read it. We support promoting discussions among BRICS members and BRICS expansion process. On the expansion process, we stress the need to clarify the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures for this expansion process through the Sherpa's channel on the basis of full consultation and consensus. So, Chair, that actually means that what we need to do is we need to clarify those elements and to what extent in BRICS we agree to them. Of course, when you move at the pace of full consultation and consensus, that pace means sometimes that you go for the lowest common denominator. So at this stage, we had 2 rounds of virtual negotiations on those elements. What exactly are the criteria we want to use? What are the guiding principles? What are the standards? And what will be the procedures? We see this process slowly moving forward, and there is some consensus on those elements. The elements basically would be more generic. I know there was a question about how we, in terms of what DM Mashego Dlamini said, how we associate with BRICS members. But I think we should also remember that we are the ones, South Africa joined BRICS in 2010-11. So at that stage, it was more how BRICS saw the fit of South Africa in that formation, rather than us deciding whether we are on the same page as some of these countries. The diversity in BRICS is a huge benefit. I think we must recognize the fact that our diversity is strength. It means that we are not always on the same page, but that we find commonalities. So in terms of the expansion debate, what we will do, we will continue to negotiate on these elements. And we see that by the time we go to the foreign ministers meeting, the Sherpas can present to our foreign ministers a set of those guiding principles, to a lesser extent criteria, because we are not stringent in terms of criteria. We are developing global south. So our main focus would be on those soft elements of guiding principles, standards, and the procedure that we would provide going forward. But what I can say is it's encouraging, because in 2022, China did not manage to have meetings on this topic. In 2023, South Africa, with the support of all our BRICS partners, are having meetings and quite extensive and detailed discussions on expansion. So we see this as an organic process going forward, and we see the progress, or the pace of progress, being carefully optimistic and not at moving very fast. It is more about ensuring all are on board than moving ahead of the pace of all countries of the BRICS formation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Just before the deputy, honorable deputy ministers come in, I think as the portfolio committee will applaud the initiative of the Africa Peace Mission of Egypt, Zambia, Senegal, Uganda, Congo, and South Africa. What I think our honorable deputy ministers should maybe also include as a point of emphasis for the Africa Peace Mission for Ukraine and Russia is to include an important variable in their engagements. And that variable is the fact that is going to be key for world peace if the Africa Peace Mission can also engage NATO. For instance, I'll make an example. If you are to compare Russia and Ukraine, if President Putin is sufficiently engaged and he agrees with the Africa Peace Mission, I think he can make that decision instantly. But when you come to Ukraine, for President of Ukraine, Zelensky, to make any crucial decision on the peace mission proposals, he can't do that, in my view, without NATO. That's what I'm saying. Please request our leadership from the African continent, when they engage on these matters, they must make sure that from the outset, NATO is taken on board, because we have not had any statement from NATO on the position of Africa in as far as trying to mediate to bring peace between Ukraine and Russia is concerned. In the response of the deputy ministers, will be glad if that could also be included in your response. Over to you, Honorable Deputy Ministers.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think the question that Honorable Powell has posed, it has been answered sufficiently. But really to indicate that I think the member of BRICS, China, had a special or formal visit to Russia and discuss issues, and among the issues are the issues that are continuing between Russia and Ukraine. So we are looking forward that some members of the BRICS are really starting to intervene. So we are looking at a space, and we hope that things will turn around. Of course, we are not going to rule out the issue of the Security Council, who is not really, that we are calling upon to intervene, and also the Director General to intervene in this particular situation. But we keep on saying in Parliament, in our speeches, that we are really having good relations with both countries that are in conflict. As a member of BRICS, I don't think there's any BRICS member that really wants to punish anyone to have a relationship with any other country. So we have indicated in Parliament that we've got a good bilateral relation with Russia and Ukraine. So our position stands because both of them, we relate with them in terms of economic spin-off for the country. So we're looking forward for this committee to support that, and also to support our neutrality in all these things that we have been indicating, because Honorable Chair, to keep on raising it. But we never prevented anyone. I remember there was a delegation that went to Ukraine, party delegation that went to Ukraine, and party delegation that went to Russia. So as government, we can't hold anyone at random if really we have got an opportunity to go and really make your input in that particular situation. So now we're really happy that we'll be hosting this summit. And as the DG has indicated, all the hanging issues that members of the DA feel are issues that are not discussed, they want us to answer yes or no. It is not possible to answer yes or no. It is in the manner in which the DG has answered it. So we really appreciate the input of all the honorable members. I'll hand over to my colleague, Honorable Botas.
Honorable reporters, Kanan Minia. Okay, it looks like Honorable Reporters has lost the contact. The last issue, Honorable Deputy Minister Mashoko Dlamini, is on the President of PAP and the allegations of sexual harassment.
Well, thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, I was there yesterday. I did an opening remarks on behalf of our minister. Up to so far, we don't have full information about the issue, about the case. And I'll want to request members that let's really put this as an embargoed situation, because if the allegation said it has been reported to the police, so we don't have the truth around everything. Let's keep it as an allegation until the security people really dealt with it. We'll bring a report in any way after everything has been surfacing and it has been put to investigation. So up to so far, we don't have full information, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Honorable voters, are you back? Okay. It doesn't look like we have honorable voters. Honorable members, I just want to indicate the broad way forward coming out of this meeting. The first one is that we welcome the briefing by the department in as far as the BRICS Summit is concerned. And we support South Africa for having agreed to host the BRICS Summit and therefore its chairing. It is the recommendation of the Portfolio Committee that, among other things, the BRICS Summit in August must fully focus on matters of the economy for the entire BRICS member states and continue to emphasize the important point of multilateralism in as far as resolving complex issues at the global level are concerned in the context of geopolitical situations. That's the first one. The second one is we note the response from the department regarding some media reports on the South African National Defence Force having sent some of its leadership to Russia to exchange information that relates to military issues. So we note the response from the department that it doesn't have enough information on the matter, and the full report can be received from the Department of Defense and Military Veterans. That's the second one. The third one, the committee is happy that in June, a meeting of ministers of international relations or foreign affairs of the BRICS member countries will be taking place, and the concrete details of the preparations, of the logistics, of the full agenda, of the program and so on will emanate from that particular meeting, and we look forward as the Portfolio Committee to the outcome of that meeting, and that we will interact with its outcome from the position of doing oversight on behalf of the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. And that in the same vein, as the Portfolio Committee through our chairperson, we will interact with other chairpersons of corresponding portfolio committees of the BRICS member states, so that together, on behalf of our portfolio committees as chairpersons of portfolio committees from the BRICS members' parliaments, we can strengthen our oversight. That's the third one. The fourth, we note that BRICS will continue to be approached by other member states to join BRICS, and that we emphasize the point that BRICS must continue to tighten the processes of admitting new members so that we can ensure that the BRICS processes, including our relationship and our membership of international institutions of governance, are adhered to. The fifth one is that as the committee we note and we support the 12-point plan, which was developed by China in its discussions with both Ukraine and Russia to try and make sure that peace is brought between Ukraine and Russia. Linked to that, that's number 6 now. The Portfolio Committee fully supports the Africa Peace Initiative by the 6 countries. We look forward to it adding impetus to the efforts for peace to prevail between Ukraine and Russia. And that as the Portfolio Committee, we call upon the peace mission to include all other individuals, states, organizations, including the North Atlantic Treaty organizations, because they have an important role to play in making sure that there's peace between Russia and Ukraine. 7, we agree with the department as the Portfolio Committee that the good relations that exist between South Africa and Ukraine and South Africa and Russia must continue to be intensified, both political and economic. 8, the Portfolio Committee supports the initiative undertaken by the Cabinet of the Republic of South Africa in establishing the Interministerial Committee, which is going to look at our membership, its implication way forward of the ICC. Like BRICS and ourselves as individual member states, we are conscious of the fact that as Parliament, through this Portfolio Committee, we will have to be appraised of progress in as far as that particular matter is concerned from time to time. 8, the committee has taken note of the media reports regarding sexual harassment allegations against the president of PAP. It is the position of the Portfolio Committee that the law enforcement agencies and the work that will be done by PAP around this particular matter will be awaited, and that it has to be dealt with speedily by all those concerned. Yeah, those are the 8 points, honorable members, that we should look at and say whether we agree with them or not, and have a position on them as a Portfolio Committee. Honorable Powell.
Thanks, Chairperson. There were a few questions that I asked that haven't been responded to, and then I've got 1 or 2 follow-ups. May I proceed?
Sure.
Thank you.
So you are still at the point of questions, Honorable Powell.
Yeah, I've got a few follow-up questions.
They are not responded to, or they are not responded to
Both.
Your satisfaction.
Both. Some new, some not responded to. But I see we've still got an hour in terms of the Z list.
No. Don't look at the time. Look at the flow of the meeting. Okay. No. Proceed, but you must also comment on this way forward that we have put here. That's coming out from the meeting. Over to you.
All right. We should probably do that right at the end of the meeting, but nevertheless, Chairperson, I just want to speak to the Deputy Minister. The Deputy Minister says that South Africa's got a very good relationship with both Ukraine and Russia. Can the Deputy Minister please outline the various sets of engagements that her ministry and the department have had with her counterpart in Ukraine, and whether or not, in light of Lieutenant General Lawrence Mabata having led a delegation to Russia to discuss issues relating to military cooperation and interaction, that the same generosity and offer will be given to our counterparts in Ukraine? Then I want to ask a question of clarity. I don't know, perhaps the Director General can respond to this. Have any timelines been given in respect of the investigation that the President has initiated into Ambassador Brigady's allegations that South Africa may have, or rogue forces within South Africa may have indeed provided weapons? Are there timelines around that? Then again, to the Deputy Minister. Deputy Minister, I asked you a question that you haven't responded to, and that is, do you believe that in the context of what you said about our constitutional values, do you, as the Deputy Minister, that Russia and China share our constitutional values? And then lastly, Chairperson, this is a request to you. Is it possible to request?
It looks like, sorry, ma'am. It looks like there's a point of order.
Honorable Chairperson.
Yes, is it Honorable Muela? Yes, Honorable Muela.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I don't know which procedure are we taking here today in this meeting, because procedurally there is a process in a meeting where you ask questions, and immediately after they've responded to, we go, the chairperson summarizes, and then after the chairperson has summarized all the discussions, we go straight and close the meeting. Now it looks like we are starting again from the beginning. We start again a meeting, we're opening again a meeting, and we've summarized all those issues, Chairperson. Now I think it's really out of order for the member that is speaking now to come back while we have already summarized and we're about to close the meeting.
You are very right. I was going to come to her when she has spoken. So because she's new in the committee, she will get used to how we run this committee, because it's exactly how you have put it. Presentation is done, we engage, re-engage, way forward, and then closure. But let's allow Honorable Powell. She's still new in the committee. Go on, Honorable Powell.
Chairperson, I've been a member of Parliament for 4 years. I understand my rights in terms of the rules of Parliament.
Honorable Powell, just
Chairperson, I'm speaking.
Yes,
no,
but you are not going to talk to me like that. I'm chairing this meeting.
Chairperson,
Yes, I'm just saying you are not the chair of this committee. I'm the chairperson. And you are not going to interject me the way you like. That's not going to happen.
You've handed back over to me and then you interject me again.
Honorable
May I
Powell,
proceed?
Honorable Powell, I'm saying, let me make it very clear to you. You are not going to interject me when I speak as the chairperson of this meeting. That's not going to happen. I must just assure you. But I will give you an opportunity. I'm saying I'm giving you an opportunity to speak. And I'm going to give you that opportunity. And I'm saying members must understand that you migrated from other committees to this committee. You are relatively new in this committee. You may have been a member for a decade or two. But there's a way in which we run the affairs of this committee on how we have been running it like that for some time now. So you can proceed with your input.
May I speak now, Chairperson? Because this is the second time that you handed the podium to me to speak and then you interject. May I speak?
Proceed.
Great, thanks.
But Chairperson, this arrogance must come to an end, Chairperson. It can't be. We can't be bullied by
Honorable Muela. Honorable Muela, you have to raise your hand before you speak. It's okay. I've given Honorable Powell a platform to proceed. Proceed, Honorable Powell, and please just summarize, because you spoke for more than twice on the same issue.
Chairperson, I'm going to finish with my last request to you, and then I'll respond to what you've just said. My question to you before I was interrupted on that point of order was, can we request through your office to please receive a briefing from DIRCO on the outcomes of the high-level delegation that was sent to Washington to engage on matters related to specifically AGOA, but also the allegations that have been made by the ambassador, if we can possibly schedule a meeting to discuss that. And then just in terms of my having asked if I can ask some follow-ups and then just reiterate where questions haven't been answered. Chairperson, it's normal in any meeting, whether it's business or in Parliament, that when discussions are had, questions arise out of those discussions. And Parliament is a space for us to engage robustly and interrogate the facts. And when we've got the officials before us, it's an opportunity for us as MPs to exercise our constitutional obligations in terms of oversight. So I don't believe that while there is still time as Z listed that we've all set aside in our diaries, I don't believe that it should be a problem if follow-up questions emanate from some of the responses that are given by officials. That's just us conducting our parliamentary duties and obligations. I understand where time is of the essence and meetings need to close, but this meeting is Z listed to run until 1 o'clock. So I can't understand why follow-up questions would be an issue. So I don't come here in a spirit of disruption, and I certainly don't come here in the spirit of undermining you as the chairperson or the authority and the experience of the officials in this room. I'm simply here conducting my constitutional duties, and that's why I have follow-up questions. So I'd very much appreciate it if they could be responded to. Thank you, Chairperson.
So, Honorable Powell, who doesn't know these things that you have just said? Because we all know them. And we've been practicing them here in the committee. So don't make an assumption that because you have come over to this committee and so on, all of these things that you are saying now, we haven't been aware of them and we haven't been alive to such things. In this committee, we always do it like that. Presentation is done. All members are given an opportunity to say whatever they want to say, in whatever way they want to say it. After the responses, if there are members who want to make follow-up, we've always been allowing that to happen. So I don't know where you are coming from, when you are now saying you are a member of parliament, you've got the right and so on. I mean, we all know that you can be, in some instances, I've asked members not to repeat themselves. I'll make an example. In your follow-up now, we have spoken about matters that relates to matters of defense. And the deputy ministers in their response have said, all matters that relates to the defense, we must get that clarity from the relevant department of defense and military veterans. They said so earlier. But anyway, it's okay, I understand. Honorable Faber, what's the hand about?
No, Chair, I've also raised my voice.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Faber.
And I thank you for recognizing me now. Chairperson, I think we must just be fair to everyone. I mean, and I must agree with Honorable Bell that this meeting is scheduled till 1 o'clock. And we've
Honorable Faber, who has said the meeting is not scheduled until 1?
No, but this is why I say, Chair. So if there's follow-up questions, there should really not be an issue. I don't know when it was decided that just after questions and after answers that you just give remarks.
But have I suppressed anyone who wanted to do follow-up questions?
No, Chairperson, but I do believe that it should be taken to the chairs of chairs if our democratic right to do follow-up questions is not going to be allowed, then surely...
Who said so, Honorable Faber?
Because, Chair, you are saying the way this committee has been run all the time, Chair, any committee do have the right and any member have the right to do follow-up questions.
No, but you are misrepresenting me. No, Honorable Faber. you are misrepresenting me. And I'm not going to allow you to do that. I have said, we allow presentations to be done. After that, members are allowed to interact with the presentation. Thereafter, there's a response by the department. And that we have allowed members to do follow-ups. We have been doing that. You know that we have been part of this committee. We have never suppressed anybody.
Chairperson, if I may. Yes, Chairperson, I'm not saying you've suppressed, but you were saying very clearly that the way this committee works. Now, Chairperson, and I'm just saying that all committees should, if the time is allowable, I agree fully with Honourable Pell that we are allowed to have follow-up questions. There's no specific committee saying this is the way we work. It cannot be, because then that must be changed. Then we will follow up with Honourable Frolik if that is so. This whole meeting is on video, so there shouldn't be any discrepancies or any uncertainties on how it's been run. And then we can take it from there. But Chair, if there is a way forward that we can do follow-ups, then it should be allowed. There is no reason why it can't be allowed. And the way it was spoken to Honourable Pell, to be quite honest, I believe is not necessary. And I think we should be honest with ourselves and give everyone a chance on this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Honourable Faber, I'm not going to allow you to get away with this one. And please, if you want to go up to the speaker, you must do that. And if you want to go up to Parliament itself and raise it as a motion in Parliament about the chair not running the meetings properly, please do that. I have just now tabled what I said is a proposed way forward from the meeting, and that all of you must comment on it. And now you are accusing me of not allowing Honourable Powell to say whatever she wants to say in this meeting live. I'm not going to agree with you that I'm suppressing Honourable Powell. I'm just saying there's a particular sequence in which the meeting is flowing. You can't, when we are at the way forward of the meeting, you don't want to comment on the way forward. You want to take us back to where we started in the meeting because you forgot other issues which you didn't raise when we started the meeting, or you are agitated by other members when they speak in the meeting. Yes, we can allow that to happen, but at some point we must wrap up and South Africans must know what is the way forward from this meeting. And that has been tabled here for everybody to comment on the way forward from this particular meeting. And that is exactly what we are going to do. But you have a democratic right. If you want to go to Honourable Frolik or you want to go to the Speaker, I'm urging you also to include Parliament. You can go there. We will meet at that level. I will come there as the chair and not the committee and respond to these spurious allegations you are making on how I'm running this particular meeting. Honourable Mpanza.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair, I think Honourable Muela and yourself have covered this very well. And I want to appeal to the committee that we allow yourself, Chair, excuse me, to chair the meeting. That's why the committees have got chairs. I think it will be a very sad day when now we are going to start prescribing how each of us should do our work as per the responsibilities accorded to us. So as a chair, I would ask you to be allowed to be be allowed to chair the meeting in the manner you decide to chair it. And we've been familiarized with this manner, and there's nothing new. And I will appeal to Honourable Powell just to adjust herself and adapt to the way we are conducting meetings here. And Chair, the main issue is that we cannot raise point of clarities after your summary. We have never done that before. So I think we didn't want even to go to the extent of raising a point of order, but you've allowed us, so it's fine. But going forward, Chair, I think let us all confine ourselves in the way we have been running the meetings, and you've run the meetings very well, very democratic, very flexible, and I think the allegations that are leveled against you, so far they don't hold any water, and they are not fair, Chair. Thanks very much.
Okay, Honorable Powell.
Chairperson, I think that this discussion is, I think it's immature of us as leaders and as members, and I think it's unnecessary. So let me ask you a question for future reference to avoid impugning the reputation of this committee as a collective and avoiding arguments like this going forward. Because quite frankly, Chairperson, you and I both know that the world is currently watching. And I think that this kind of argument is beneath us. So let me ask, this is, as you say, I am new to this committee. My understanding is that we're allowed to ask questions and debate in the time allowed. And at the end of the meeting, you may propose some conclusions. So let me ask you, Chairperson, will you, going forward, allow for us as members to pose A, follow-up questions, or B, raise issues where we don't feel that our questions have been responded to? And if there is time allowed, will you allow for officials to then answer those questions? And if not, why not? Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Powell, we have been doing that all the time. I can tell you now the champion of follow-up questions is Honorable Chetty. And all the time we have allowed him to do follow-up questions, even when we are about to close the meeting. We have never suppressed anyone. So you will be allowed, yes, you are new in the committee, you are not a new member of parliament. You are a member of parliament, you have a democratic right to express your opinions. But as a collective, at some point, we must be able to say to South Africans, where to from now? Now that we have discussed and everybody has spoken, that's why I allowed you to speak. For instance, in the way forward now, point 9, we ended at 8. I've included your point of saying the department must brief us on the envoy sent to the US by the president on AGOA. I've included it here because you have raised it as a point of possible way forward, as a point of clarity also from the department. And my view is that it must be part of our way forward because there was an envoy which went to the US, they used taxpayers' money for that, but also it's a matter of national interest because it's about trade between South Africa and the US. So I'm just demonstrating to you that we are not arrogant, and I'm not certainly arrogant and so on. But I'm not going to allow any member of this committee to try and impugn on my reputation on how I'm running this particular committee. That I'm not going to allow. But if I'm wrong, I will accept that I'm wrong and apologize. So you are allowed, my sister, to speak. But the way meetings are run is that at some point we have to wrap up and agree on what we are wrapping up. So we have to, every member must say, these 9 points, are we as tabled, are we now agreeing on them? Because there must be a media statement after this meeting. Are you okay?
Yes, Chairperson, I just said in the chat group, we agree. Let's move forward now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, there's a way forward which has been tabled here. We can now comment on the way forward.
Chair, I'm seconding. Chair, I'm seconded Honorable Powell. think she has moved, and I'm seconding.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Moela.
Chairperson, I haven't moved for anything. I just agree that what you've said about allowing for follow-ups and that you've clarified that. There's nothing to be seconded in terms of what I've said.
So according to you, Honorable Powell, if you were in my position and I want to say something in the meeting, I'm just a member of the committee, I can just press and proceed. When another member says something, I can just press the mic and proceed, because according to the rules of the House, the same rules that are used in the House apply in the committee. So is that okay? You can respond.
Thanks, Chair. My hand's up. It's very confusing because people keep putting words in my mouth and then you continue. So I think it's just important that it's clarified that I didn't I didn't second your way forward. I'm still waiting for responses to the questions of clarity that I've asked, after which you've said we'll come to the way forward. So I think that there's a deliberate attempt here to sow confusion. We're waiting for responses to questions that I've asked. We haven't agreed in terms of the 8 points that you've put forward as our committee summary yet. That's certainly my understanding. And it seems that there is, from certain quarters, a deliberate attempt to be putting words in other people's mouths and sowing confusion. And I ask that we can please desist from this behavior.
No, that's a conspiracy theory, Honorable Powell. I ask you a very simple question. Is it the right thing to do that when another member has spoken, like Honorable Mpanza has said now, that without going through the chair, you can just respond? That's what I wanted to hear from you. That's if that's how meetings must be run and you are very comfortable with it, that's okay.
Are you recognizing me now?
Yes, I'm giving you the opportunity to respond. I'm asking you a specific question.
So my response to that is,
the chair, or we shouldn't speak through the chair?
We should definitely speak through the chairperson, but when somebody puts words in our mouths or seconds on something that we have not supported, then I think it's important to immediately stand and explain that that's not important. What's going on in this meeting is transparent, Chairperson, I think, to everybody who's observing the game that's being played here. So I'll hand it back over to you.
What is the game?
My questions will be responded to, and I will then, after my questions are responded to, be happy to make inputs in terms of your proposed way forward. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. What is the game, Honorable Powell? That is being played.
I have nothing further to add at this point. Thank you, Chairperson.
So you can't substantiate on your allegation that there's a game being played here. Okay. I'm going to come to the department to respond to some of the issues that have been raised in addition. But before that, Honorable Moela.
No, Chair, I wanted to propose that we accept the way forward as proposed by your good self, Chairperson, and propose that we close the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Moela, just before we come to that, Deputy Ministers, Honorables, do you want to amplify any other responses to the additional matters that have been raised, particularly by Honorable Powell?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable Powell, we have been invited to join BRICS in 2010. We have been chairing BRICS. This is for the 3rd time now. And BRICS has got principles and values that they hold. So when the discussions of new members that would like to join BRICS or the expansion of BRICS has been put on the table last year in 2022, the Sherpas have been discussing the matter. And as South Africa, we are continuing with that particular matter. So I am saying, as new members will be joining BRICS, the BRICS team itself or the BRICS members will consult amongst themselves before the acceptance of any new member. But the modalities and the processes that need to be followed, as has been alluded by the presenter, is that the ministers are sitting in June, processing all these matters that will be presented to the summit in August. We hope that in the modalities and the processes and everything, as it is approved by, it will be approved by the summit in August, then that we will look at the issue forward. So we are going to be consulted as a member of BRICS when any new members has made a request to be joining the BRICS. So that's the issue. And I indicated that we always use our constitutional values and our national interest as we discuss such issues. On the issue of the bilateral relations, we don't have the report now, but we have a bilateral relation with both countries, Ukraine and Russia, as a country, as South Africa. So I think if ever the member would like to know how is the standing of our bilateral relations with Ukraine and with Russia, we can provide that information. I don't have it now because we're presenting BRICS, not really the bilateral around members of the BRICS and so on.
And just to emphasize the point you are making there, Deputy Minister, in the way forward, the Portfolio Committee is making the point that those bilateral relations that South Africa has with those individual member states, Russia and Ukraine, must be intensified, and that we must continue to be appraised as the Portfolio Committee on the mutual and reciprocative benefits arising from those bilateral relations. I'm just strengthening the point that you are saying that that has been said in this meeting.
Yes, Chair. Well, on the issue of the envoy to US, in the last meeting, we indicated that we don't have the report in our hands. So immediately we got the report from the envoy. We'll report back to the committee, as well as the issue of the delegation that the member is raising, that the defense delegation to Russia. We don't have information now. If we only have information, or they can even ask that question to the Department of Defense, as we've indicated even previously. Thank you very much, Chair. I don't know whether the DG wants to add something.
Thank you. DG?
Thank you, Chair. I think the Deputy Minister has covered the issues. Just suffice to say that our Minister Pandor will be meeting with a counterpart from Ukraine over the next few days in Portugal to also engage further around the peace matters. And on the issue of whether we have a timeline for the investigation, no, I don't have a timeline at the stage of the investigation. Thank you, Chair.
In addition, Minister Pandor this morning on SABC said it to all and sundry to know that the meeting you are talking about is going to take place, and that she was also going to be talking to the ambassador of Ukraine this morning. That's as fresh as like hot cakes from the oven this morning. So insinuations must not be made that South Africa has got some negative attitude it's harboring towards Ukraine, when actually practice and action suggests otherwise. So we have included that in our way forward. Honorable members, there's a proposal that we adopt the way forward, which includes the point made by Honorable Powell, which we agree to, that we must get a briefing on the envoy that was sent by President Ramaphosa to the US to, among other things, discuss matters relating to AGOA. So that is the 9th point. There was a proposal by Honorable Mpanza and not Honorable Powell, by Honorable Mpanza, that we adopt the way forward. He was seconded by Honorable Muela. Is there an objection to the adoption of the way forward as suggested? Honorable Power.
Chairperson, could I just add a 10th recommendation, or recommend that we add a 10th recommendation?
Proceed, Honorable Power.
Thanks. The Deputy Minister has just said that she doesn't have at hand information in terms of assistance that we have offered to Ukraine to date, but that she can provide the committee with that information.
No, Honorable
Sorry, Deputy Minister, just let him finish first.
No, Chair, you mustn't put the words in my mouth. I didn't say there's any assistance that we have done with Ukraine. I said we have got a bilateral relation with Ukraine. So you must just correct that, because you're speaking about assistance. I never spoke about assistance.
Okay, but let her finish first. Honorable Power.
Okay, so then let's maybe replace the word assistance with engagements. I think that's more appropriate. The engagements, then a schedule of the engagements that the South African government, DIRCO specifically being this portfolio, has had to date with our counterparts in Ukraine.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Power. I don't think there will be any objection. Is there no objection, Honorable Members, to the inclusion as suggested by Honorable Powell that we include any information relating to updates on engagements between South Africa and Ukraine?
Chairperson?
Yes.
No, as a mover of the adoption of the summary, I don't have any objection on the inclusion.
There be no objections to the 10 points of way forward agreed as a consequence of discussions emanating from this committee, which are a product of the presentation that was done by the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, led by Deputy Minister Kenneth Mashego Dlamini and Honorable Buates, accompanied from the Rivocrats level by DG Denko. We hereby, as the Portfolio Committee, then adopt the 10-point way forward emanating from this particular meeting. We want to thank the department for the report and always making sure that you come when the Portfolio Committee says, please come, update, report, and so on. You have never refused to do so. And we appreciate the time you invest in preparing for quality inputs in this Portfolio Committee. I'm sure the department will understand that what went on earlier on, it's part of what we must encourage as part of deepening democracy in Parliament. The debates among the members is not something we should worry about. It's part of deepening democracy and debate, expression of views. And in the end, we come to a conclusion as a collective. The world is changing very fast, almost on a daily basis. There are new developments. So we will ask the department, sometimes it may not be us saying come and report. If the department feels that there's some matter of clarity they may want to give urgently to the Portfolio Committee, they can send that to the office of the chairperson. The chairperson will then distribute that to members of the Portfolio Committee. And if members of the Portfolio Committee feel after receiving such information that there may be a need for an urgent meeting, they know which procedure to follow to ask the chair to consider convening an urgent meeting after consultation with those who preside over Parliament. We thank South Africans who have been following proceedings of this interaction between us and the department on all platforms provided by Parliament, the media that has joined us, the honorable members who participated in the discussions today. Thank you very much, the staff from the Portfolio Committee for preparing for this successful meeting, and the staff from the department that prepared for this particular Portfolio Committee meeting, interaction between you and the department. Honorable members who struggled with network, like Honorable Nkosi, we are sorry that you couldn't follow the proceedings. Honorable Msani, I've received her apology. She left around I don't know what time it was, but she's going to attend to some important matter, and she has been released to go. Otherwise, thank you very much, honorable members. This is how we come to the end of this particular meeting. You will get updates regarding our oversight overseas. I think the latest will be by tomorrow. It will be sent to the honorable members. Thank you very much, members, and the meeting is...
Can I just ask
yes,
for your indulgence? Yes, I don't know whether when you're dealing with the apologies, you got Honorable Nola's apology, because if that has not happened, so I wanted it to be included that he is attending the 194 section meeting, which is flashing meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, that is noted. Thank you very much, members. The meeting is now officially closed. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.